Hey,
Hey
Coach,
guys.
when you look to tomorrow, are there one or two things that absolutely have to be done in order for you guys to be successful?
Uh, we've got to be able to run offense without turning the ball over because they do force a ton of turnovers, and we certainly don't need live ball turnovers because they're so good in transition. And we got to defend the arc and we got to rebound. So, those would be they're arguably the best rebounding team in our league. They're the best 3-point shooting team maybe in America, and they turn people over more than anybody. So those would be three things that I think that we have to be pretty good at tomorrow.
Were you good at all in any of those areas the first time? That you remember?
Well, I remember. I would say from a turnover standpoint, I don't know how many we had, and how many points they got. But I think we had like 16 or 18 turnovers. I could be wrong on that. I don't think we did a great job handling the ball. From a rebounding standpoint, I thought that they controlled the glass based on what I don't recall my stats right now, and we did two guys go 9 of 11 from three. So yeah, those are things we can definitely do better.
What changed during that stretch when you were able to cut it to 5 a couple times and get back in that game?
Well, I think our defense was better in those stretches. I thought we scored a couple of easy baskets. We shot the ball well that game and still got beat, by 8. We were 10 and 19 from 3, and I think they were 9 and 19. So, I don't know that we did anything great to get back in it. They probably missed some of the same looks that they've been making, and we turned them over a couple of times. But, even though it got to 5 a couple of times, I'm not sure we ever put any real, a game pressure on them by seemed like they were still in control, even though the deficit was only 5.
How big will Marcus be in containing Butler?
He'll be big. I mean, he's big on everything that we do. Last game, I think Jared, he obviously had an unbelievable game, but, Marcus actually did a nice job in guarding. We switched so much, and it got him on some different guys late in the clock, and that's when he delivered. So we got to do a better job of maybe somehow Marcus staying connected a little bit better with him, and certainly I don't want to say as much as getting the ball out of his hands because they got 3 other guys that can really shoot it too, or 4, counting Meyer, but besides Butler, but I do think that how we defend late in the clock will be very important, because I believe that's where he scored the majority of his points late in the clock.
You've consistently spoken so highly of Marcus and his relation to this program. Years from now, how will your appreciation for his value to this program change?
It won't change, Kenitra. I think that the way I see him today will be the same way I see him, 10 years from now or 15 years from now. I felt the same way about Russell Robinson. I felt the same way about Brady Morningstar, Tyrell Reed. I felt the same way about Travis Relaford. I think that Marcus has done some things here. Obviously he's still inconsistent shooting the ball from behind the arc. We know that, but his stroke has improved so much. I remember when he first got here, fans would ask, "Ooh, God dang," basically not why you recruited him, but is he good enough to be a player? And not only is he good enough to be a player, he's good enough to be National Defensive Player of the Year, and certainly be plenty good enough to be a player on a Final Four team, and certainly plenty good enough to be one of the better players in the program and still be successful. So I love his game. His game's not perfect by any stretch, but I love how he competes and toughness and what he brings to the table. So he'll be appreciated, as long as I can stay young enough to remember. He will be appreciated.
He said he hasn't ruled out a return yet. What conversations have you had with him about that, and what do you think the chances are you'd get him back?
Too early to tell, Matt. My conversations with him have been limited. We talked about senior night. And I said, "Now this is how Chris and Mitch are going to handle it." But I got to tell you, if this season plays out the way I hope it does for you, you need to try to go. And if it doesn't, you know you can always come back, and I'd love to have you back. So that's been the conversation. It hasn't been anything remotely serious about it, other than the fact that I do hope he plays well from here on out, to put him in a position where he can make that decision. I don't want that decision to be made for him. I'd rather him make that decision, be able to make that decision.
Bill, you faced some tremendous challenges in your career at Kansas in the field house. How does this one rank? Is it up there with some of the very best that you have faced?
Oh, yeah, no question. Baylor is one of the best teams that we have faced. This version of Baylor's team, this year's version, is definitely one of the best teams that we have faced in my time here at Kansas, regardless of where we play them. They got a terrific team, terrific personnel, well coached. They've got a lot of terrific pieces. There's no question it's going to be a challenge, and the challenge will be I don't want to say greater, but the challenge will certainly isn't lessened due to the fact that we don't have 16,300 people to maybe pick us up or rattle them in key moments of a game, which the home crowd does a great job, regardless of where it's from, but more so here maybe than ever, just because of the special building we play in. So it's going to be a challenge, but Dave, I don't know that I'm going to put it up there as being the greatest challenge of a home game that we've ever had. We've had a lot of great challenges, and there's certainly one of them without question.
Hey, Coach, how does it change Baylor if their big man Jonathan can't go?
Well, obviously, it would hurt anybody if you lost a player of that ability and energy if he can't go. But to me, we don't prepare like that. I mean, well, what if something happens and Bryce Thompson can't go, or what if something happens and Christian Brown can't go, or Jalen Wilson can't go? We don't look at it that way. We look at Baylor will give us a great effort, and they got good enough players at each spot to be very good and efficient, regardless of who can play and who can't play. They're deep enough.
Hey, Coach, I know the NCAA for football said seniors who return don't count against the scholarship limit. Is that the same for basketball? Has that been announced?
Yes, I believe it has. Don't quote me on NCAA legislation right now. I hate to get anything wrong with them right now. So, but I do believe that to be the case.
Okay, thank you.
David McCormick in the first meeting didn't have one of his better games. So what can he do specifically in this second matchup to be a bigger factor?
Well, I think David's just got to slow down and play. Even against Texas the other day, it wasn't one of his better games compared to what he was doing. I mean, he has been playing at a consistently high level, and the other day wasn't one of his better outings. Even though he still got some points and stuff, it wasn't one of his better outings, and I think he just needs to slow down a little bit. David is a perfect example from my standpoint that it'd be kind of like a golfer trying to make a perfect swing when he's trying as hard as he can. I think David tries so hard sometimes that he's not as effective because he's over trying. Just slow down and kind of let the game come to you, and be good at this and be good at that, and make a quick move. And if it's not there, it's no big deal. But I think sometimes David, and we talked about this, he's gotten so much better at it, but sometimes he can get a little excited or try a little too hard, which I think puts too much pressure on himself.
Bill,
I'd say just slow down.
Since there's only 2,500 fans, will Marcus still give a speech?
Yes. Well, we're not going to do it the same because I don't know if this is NCAA protocols, but certainly the Big 12 made the call that on senior nights, no families on the floor, things of that nature, which is unfortunate for anybody that's going through a senior night, even if it's limited capacity, but because parents deserve to be a part of it. So we'll do what we can to make sure his family is a part of it. And John Felton's as well, one of our managers. But he'll give us talk after the game. And I would say if Wayne Simeon spoke 28 minutes on senior night, we can bet the under with Marcus Garrett, without question.
Hey, what it come down to?
Wayne spoke 20 minutes on senior night after 4 other dudes spoke 60. This will be one that I knowing Marcus and his not ability, but the enjoyment he receives from being vocal and conversating with people. I bet you this one doesn't go very long.
We thought we weren't going to fit you in with as much as he went on just before you got here about his career. He just couldn't stop talking. It was crazy.
I'm sure that's the case.
Hey,
I've known Marcus for 4 years, and it doesn't matter what are you doing, how you feeling, what's up today. The reply is going to be, "I'm great." That's I guarantee that will happen at least one time during this talk tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, what it come down to with UTEP and adding that game for you?
Well, it came down to 11 days or 12 days is long ways to go without playing games this time of year. And I know people have done it with COVID and pauses and things like that, but if you don't have to do it, why do you do it? And we need the game. We needed the game to fall on a particular day. And I'm not looking at this as a tune-up game or anything like that. I'm looking at this as a regular season game, but hopefully it'll be one that will help prep us and keep us sharp going into the postseason.
You said that Jalen can't be your leading scorer every game. How do you get his teammates to be more impactful on the glass?
You mean leading rebounder, not leading scorer?
Yes, leading rebounder.
Yeah. That's one thing that's been disappointing to me. I don't believe David, Christian, or Ochai, any of the three have rebounded the ball to the level that Jalen has. And Jalen has, without question, been our most consistent and best rebounder this year. And it's a credit to him because, he's not the biggest and certainly he fights hard on the glass. But I think it's those guys just all making more of a conscious effort to do that. We've shown at time, statistically, we were bad at Texas rebounding the ball. I mean, we got whipped. Some of that we got whipped is that I believe that we were not blocking out. I believe we were poor in many ways. Some of us, we got whipped is because they got some pretty long athletes and are pretty athletic, and they can probably go get the ball when it's above the rim better than some of our guys can. But we can't allow that to be an excuse. We have to hit somebody and go get it. We can't pass up opportunities to hit somebody to eliminate their jump, things like that. And really, we play the S amount of the S we play on. I think Jalen was a big part of that, but I also think a big key for us rebounding the ball is David McCormick doing that on the defensive end.
Bill, what do you think of getting Mitch back another year and teeing?
I think that getting him back puts him in the same category from an age standpoint to rival Brady Morningstar as the longest player in the history of the oldest player in the history of the Big 12. So that'll be good. It's great for Mitch. We love Mitch. There's no doubt about that. You would think that Mitch could be close to receiving a doctorate degree by the time he gets out of here. But we and his family are still very happy for just the undergraduate degree with Mitch. But and I say that as a joke. Mitch is doing great in school. But I think it's great. It does allow him to for sure complete his master's program and maybe even take some classes post that, which he'll be required to do. But I love Mitch Lightfoot. I love him. I would want him around me every day, regardless if he was still playing ball or not. I just think he adds energy and adds joy to others' lives. And regardless of what his role is, regardless of how many points he scores, regardless of whatever, I know I got a guy out there that's, 100% loyal and on my team, through whatever we're going through.
Personality wise, have you ever had anybody like him? I mean, the prison Mitch and just the way he carries himself.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. I mean, we've had some cast of characters since we've been here, and you guys know him. You just don't remember covering them. But yeah, we've one thing about Mitch and his personality. Mitch's personality is one that is of sweet orneriness. We've had some with personalities here that you would not consider their orneriness near as sweet as Mitch's. And I enjoy them all. I enjoy each and every one of them, but Mitch is certainly one of my favorites. And Tehan coming back too. I got to be honest with you. I love having him around. I love having him around, and his ability to put his handprint on our situation. Obviously, being a walk-on and not playing a lot, I think has been about as good as anybody that we've had in that walk-on type position. And I'm very happy he wants to come back too and have a fun senior year. That's what I talked to those guys about. I said, how much fun is it for a senior in college now? It's supposed to be the most fun year of their life, in the gap, bridging the gap to professional and everything. And to be put in a situation during this pandemic to be like this, and especially be a basketball player at Kansas and not be able to expend, to enjoy many of the fruits of your labor, being a player here. And I said, you guys, if you want to come back, great. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to beg you, but I think it would benefit us. And I certainly hope if you do, you'll go out in the way you want to go out rather than this way. And I think they both bought into that.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
See you guys.